first moment when you really realized that the COVID-19 was this global problem that would have such a significant impact on La Liga? And what was the reaction at that point within the La Liga offices?
So La Liga on the 10th of March suspended the competition for 2 weeks. And then 2 days later, on the 12th of March, we suspended the competition until further notice. But it wasn't until a week later, in a UEFA working group, UEFA created a calendar working group, and La Liga, Premier League, UEFA, and ECA and European leagues, we were present in this working group. And the very first moment we sat down, we had to look at the calendar, and it was super difficult to deal with all the competitions that need to be played in such a short period of time. We had, let's refresh our minds, we had the Euro Cup starting the 1st of June. We had national teams playing both in March and in June. We had domestic leagues that had to play between 10 and 13 matches, depending on the league. We had domestic cups that had to be played between 2 and 3 matches, semi-finals and finals for most of the countries. We had 17 matches for Champions League. We had 23 matches for Europa League. And we had the next season of the qualification rounds of UEFA club competitions starting the 2nd of July. So we had to put together all those matches in a way that we were all being able to fit everything in the calendar, in a calendar that was going to be shortened by more than 60%. So that was the moment I realized what we are really facing.
You've got some slides ready for us here, Javier. Just give us an idea of the strategy. How did you work out what to do when there was no football during the hiatus, and then to try and get football back and complete the season, and then start the next season and not have too much of a delay? So just take us through how you guys work that out at La Liga.
Yeah, so as Patricia said, working on uncertainty, what we need to find is strategies. We need to find very, very clear strategies and follow the process, because if it's very easy to get lost with the amount of information we have. So La Liga had very, very different, I would say, 3 strategies from the start of the crisis up until now. Before resuming the competition, the strategy was to resume the competition, and there were 5 main topics that we had to discuss. One is the calendar that I already mentioned. The second one is the players' furlough. We had to work with the clubs in this topic. Also, the contracts need to be extended, so we work with the clubs on that. We adjusted the financial fair play. And lastly, we developed protocols that need to be followed. That was the first strategy. The second strategy was, once we resumed the competition, that was 11th of June until the 23rd of August. So our strategy was finishing the competition, implementing all the protocols, dealing with all the positive cases. We had only 10 positive cases in 1920 season, only 10. I will give the number of positive cases we have now. And then the third strategy is the strategy we are in now, which is the strategy for the 2021 season. One would think that the strategy is the same before than now, because before we were in the coronavirus crisis and now we're in the coronavirus crisis. But reality is that the strategy needs to be different because the situation is completely different. I would like to show a few slides of what the situation is on every. I will give a brief comment on the cities where our clubs are based. This is Albacete. I will go to Alicante, for example, Alicante, where Elche is based. This graph shows the daily infection rate from 17th of March until mid-September. And in brackets here in red is where the competition was played, 1920. So here we can see very clearly how Alicante, for example, had during the competition 1920 40 positive cases per day, and now we are over 180 positive cases per day. So the situation is completely different, and the picture is exactly the same in every single city in Spain. It talks by itself, the picture. We can go Barcelona, for example. During the competition, we had around 100 cases. Now we are talking about more than 1,000. And so the strategy can't be the same when the situation is not the same. And now what we do in La Liga, we have two two very different approaches. Let me just show you very quickly one of the slides. We have two strategies. One of them is the isolation strategy, so what we call the football bubble. We take care of trainings, trips, and matches of players and clubs. And then we have the awareness strategy, which is taking care also on that area where the player is not in the bubble anymore. So when he's at home, he's in the restaurants, he goes to the cinema, we also do strategies to minimize the risk in that specific area.
Fantastic. Thank you for taking us through all that detail. And I also understand, and we'll talk about this in a bit, if you wouldn't mind, Javier, we'll leave it to just a little bit later about a players app, which is kind of to do with that second point. But we'll leave that just for a moment, because I want to bring in Patricia at this point. Just from a club perspective, Patricia, can you tell us what was your most immediate concern for Elche when coronavirus struck? Was it financial? Was it literally health-wise? Was it the impact within the community?
The week in which the pandemic was declared in March and competition was suspended, we have many meetings with La Liga regarding the situation and the next steps. And now when I read my notes from those days, I surprised myself because we didn't expect to stop the competition more than 2 weeks. We expect to return at the end of March, and we need to adapt at that moment all the procedures and all the situations to the new scenario. Regarding Elche, our principal concern was health-wise, because there were some employees directly affected by COVID-19. One of our players was in the group, those players who suffered first the COVID-19, and in that moment we decided to close the club and go to work from home. But of course, we need also take care about the financial situation of the club, and we started a temporary employment regulation extended to all the employees of the club, including players, and we try to manage the payments of the debt with a decrease on revenues. And additionally, we understood that we had some responsibility to give a service to our fan base, and we decided to try to entertain people who was at home, giving them some videos and some entertainment in our social media.
But in terms of the importance of the integrity of the competition, how important is it that the season was completed, Patricia?
So La Liga has always told us that there are 3 mandatory principles, in which the first one is to keep safety and try to keep the health of the all people who is involved in the competition, players, staff, and also the employees around the team and around the match. And that's mandatory. It's the most important. But the second one is to try to look for integrity of the competition, avoiding any manipulation. And the third one, obviously, is the economic situation of the clubs. Regarding this third principle, we can say that we are very proud that we have been one of the ligas who has suffered less impact in its revenue. And I think that it could be a very differential factor for the future of La Liga, for the clubs that we are in La Liga, because we have not suffered decreases like France or like Premier League, for example. And I think that we will manage the situation during this season and next season better than other clubs. And
so I guess, Javier, there must have been some quite intense conversations that went on behind the scenes between La Liga and its clubs. Can you just give us a sense of what the contact and dialogue was like? What sorts of conversations were being had?
Yeah, so of course, it was the responsibility of La Liga to make sure that the competition was going to finish. It's the same responsibility this season. And we had a weekly meeting on 19-20 season, I'm talking about, a weekly meeting of our board of directors. Every Monday we were meeting with our board to discuss what was coming. Every day that we had news and we had to discuss them and approve decisions. Then La Liga assigned one person responsible for each of the 42 clubs. There are 20 clubs in first division and 22 clubs in second division in La Liga. So La Liga assigned one person per club that had to supervise that the clubs were doing the right implementation of the protocol. Sometimes there are difficult conversations between La Liga and the clubs, and I'm just going to give you one example. La Liga is the only league in the world now that doesn't allow, or is very limited, the use of the changing rooms. Changing rooms before the match are only used for 3 minutes before the match and 3 minutes after the match. And so we have this person that I mentioned that is assigned to that club that makes sure that players do not use the changing rooms for more than 3 minutes. And the reason is because we think that within the football bubble that I mentioned before, the biggest source of infection by far is the changing room. But there's not another competition that does the same. And as I said, these conversations are not easy with the clubs, because coaches like to have their own space. A changing room is a very important space for clubs, but some decisions are tough, but we look for the best of the competition.
Patricia, did you feel you had support from La Liga? Did you feel that they did sort of extend a hand to help you both financially and otherwise? And if so, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. We have received maximum support from La Liga. They have organized different webinars to give us advisory service in labor regulations field, which in Spain has changed a lot during these 8 months. They are also advised in matters like ticketing strategies to compensate our fan base. They are giving us opportunities for obtain funding from external financial institutions. And after that, we receive support each week, like Javier has said before, in the preparation of back to the competition. So we have a meeting each week in which we can share with them our concerns and our doubts. And we can also try to look for the finish of the competition. That I think is the main challenge and the main objective for La Liga and also for the clubs.
What are La Liga thinking to do in terms of fan engagement? You gave us a little explanation of what you've done so far. Are there any other plans in the pipeline, and what has proved to be successful for La Liga in that respect?
Yeah, so regarding fans in the stadium is something we are discussing with the government, but we are trying to find other ways to engage with the fans. One of them is now we have drones filming as well the matches. This is something that didn't happen before, and now we were allowed by the government and security and police to have drones, which is something very interesting. And another thing that is gonna come is gonna come more and more often is statistics live during a match. So now, for example, in La Liga, not in every free kick, but in some corner free kicks, before the player kicking the ball, you see the percentage of balls that go to the first pot, the percentage of balls that go to the second pot, to the middle, and that live data is something that is gonna stay with us for many years in not only football but in sports in general.
As I said before, the strategy that we are following is to try to attract our fan base and digitalize our fans. So we are preparing content and different kind of video or photo pictures and sites of the stadium that maybe fans don't know because they are in the viewing the match and didn't know the stadium and for example the dress room or something like that. And due to that, we are planning some activities to keep them with us and keeping them entertained. Trying also to work with La Liga, trying to push in the government to have back the fans in stadiums, because we have some strange situations like football matches in second division, not professional sports, but stadiums with people watching the matches. So in the same country. So I think that it has no sense.
How has Elche found the engagement rate with fans, considering they're not allowed to attend matches? How are you leveraging your online followers to keep them engaged and interested in Elche?
But I think that we have a special case because we have promoted to first division. So we are more attractive than in second division, than in Liga Smartbank. And due to that, it has been not so hard that in other situations and other clubs, because there are many companies around Elche and this kind of retail companies around the economic ecosystem of Alicante, which are very interested in invest in the club and try to expand the visibility through La Liga. For example, to be an international context that we are now, our TV rights in first division are in different countries. It's very interesting for this kind of sponsors who are focusing their strategy in internationalization and try to sell their products in other countries that are not only in Spain. So in our case, it has not so hard that in other cases.